Once a shining beacon of hope when all seemed lost and the resident aura farmer of the Sonic franchise, to now being at the top of Dawn Promoter's terrorist watch list, Super Sonic was originally intended as a rival in the Grand Prix mode of CrossWorlds, but was scrapped before the game's release. And I have a feeling we're about to find out why. But thanks to Saitsu, or rather, no thanks to, that feature has now been restored, with absolutely no risk of losing your save file when attempting this battle. So, knowing me, I downloaded the mod, and very quickly regretted it. Hi, I'm Snack. And if you don't know me, I'm the bird on top of the jackal's head, not the jackal. And it's really funny to see people take ages to notice that. But anyway, for a proper introduction, I love to make challenge videos on Sonic games. I've done lots of challenges for Frontiers, Shadow Generations, a couple of Unleashed ones, and even Sonic Adventure. But, as you may have guessed, this is next in a cruel series of CrossWorlds challenges. In my last video, we attempted to beat a max level rival in the Grand Prix without using gadgets, and adopted a sort of Nuzlocke system where once we had beaten a rival as a character type, we could not repeat the rival we faced or the Grand Prix Cup we entered. Well, we're doing it a bit differently today. With max level rivals already being tough enough to beat, then Super Sonic just being invincible on top of that, a challenge like this was reserved for only the most mentally ill of gamers, and thankfully, due to my past experience, I more than qualify for this. We'll be taking on level 10 Super Sonic on supersonic speed, and that is literally it. There's no rules, just win. Not like you can cheat and use Supersonic because, well, you can't face the rival you're playing as, so there's nothing else really to cover. Let's do this. As promised to Gary, I did say I would attempt to use Storm. My initial intention was to play cheap and use Drift Charge Kit and Counter Quick Drift, but I was encouraged to try something acceleration focused. So, we started with both ring gain boosts, Extended Slipstream and Bounty, and Air Trick Bounty, in Mirage Blade. You're never going to slow down Supersonic, so you should just focus on pure speed. So we can hop into our first attempt being trashed up by Supersonic with iconic lines like missing string table entry. Loved when he said that to Perfect Chaos. And let me tell you, this build was not it. Sure, it can go pretty fast, but it cannot turn to save itself. For a build like this, an acceleration character would be better. I've actually used this build on world matches as egg pawn, and the high placement is pretty consistent. I just don't find it very fun to play. I'm also clearly geeked the fuck out because if you look at the footage, I hardly picked up any items, which was the biggest problem here. Why I chose Blizzard Valley as well, I have no idea. Third in the first race doesn't seem too bad, but this was going to be a very frequent result. On Radical Highway, I fumbled the bridge edges, then in Aquaforest fumbled the shortcut, then fumbled the bridge edges again, and what do you know? Came third again. I was really wanting to see this build work, but I got baited by a spike ball at the start of Minecraft World, and then it happened again at the end. DPS is a lot better than DP, to be fair. So, I swapped out to Neo Lytron, which I'm convinced that alongside Hot Hatch that it's the best handling car, along with Counter Quick Drift and Charge Kit. And you can already see by the early placement that this was going to be far better. Bagging won't help, since items do nothing to Supersonic, so you're better off finding a build that will allow you to front run really effectively. Once again, third, so to be honest, pack it up. Because in Radical Highway, we came fifth. There was not going to be any feasible way to come close to winning at this point. My only choice was to slow down other racers to get closer to Supersonic, but even then, I was missing item boxes left, right and center, so that was never going to happen. With a 7th place finish on Chow Part, we had to revisit. I swapped over to Xena and used a board with Tech Drift, level 2 and 3 charges and Perfect Charge Bounty. I've been using this gadget build a lot on time trials recently and managed to get just about all the Sonic Speed S ranks with it. This works with basically any character in either a board or a handling car, so you can choose whoever you like basically. However, I don't think Mythal Harbor was a good choice for this either. I gave this build a good few shots, but I was getting third a lot, and during the time of watching the footage there was one thing going through my mind: where the fuck are all the items? If you're an online warrior, you probably don't even notice that in Grand Prix the item boxes take forever to respawn, and I just happened to keep trying to pick up a box that was never going to be there by the time I hit it up. I was also failing the check so fucking much that the ring gain was never happening, so this was just completely my fault. So, we revisited the build again. I decided to pick up Shadow, since I have really good results with him on or offline. If you ask me, Technical Drift is a better choice than Drift Charge Kit. You have better control, the boost charges all stages quicker, not just 1 and 2, and it only takes up 2 slots. I swapped out level 3 Quick Charge for mini ring gain boost, and picked up my signature Wispin Booster and Sakura Board combo. Things were looking good. My boost checks were perfect, my item usage was great, made up for a lot of potential fails in the run, and then a miracle happened. So, it's definitely possible to win. Do we have a likelihood of this happening every race? No. But, if we could come first at least twice, one of them being in the final race, but placing as high as we could otherwise, we would be fine. Tactical thinking, only using the effort where it counts. Now, as much as it isn't a horrible outcome, I came third in Rainbow Garden, leaving Supersonic at a 2-point lead. The maths was still mathing. If we could come second in Water Palace, we could still win if we came first in the final race. Well, there really wasn't much that could be done when I'm running straight into the Hentai and White Cave and then getting a singular Yakker in 7th place, and then we came 4th and left Supersonic at an 8-point lead. Alright, it's wraps. We've tried what we can, video done, see you in the next one. Bye. The thing is, not all hope is lost. We did beat Supersonic once, right? So it's 100% possible to win. It's just unlikely. Hang on. 100% possible, but unlikely. Count on me to write something that makes no fucking sense. But, as Sonic himself said, we're all about beating the odds here. It wasn't necessarily going to be a case of playing like we're online, more like playing a time trial with other people also trying to time trial. And you know which character type is used a lot in time trials? Power. So, we switched to Zavok, traded out level 2 quick charge for Slipstream bounty, and tried again. And guess what? It was still really, really close on E-Stadium. But with the rest of the cup, I was noticing a pretty big problem. The items I was getting just ended up being attack items, while Supersonic is first. That simply doesn't help. This attempt also just ended badly, and it was the quickest switch up back to Shadow you've ever seen. Same gadget build, Shadow, and Neolitron. And this attempt reminded me of something huge that we can definitely make good use of. Onto that in a second. We managed to win on E-Stadium yet again, so was using Shadow the play? I think we're looking closer to this gadget combo being the way to go. And then during Rainbow Garden, the second I entered Aqua Road, I landed and did a full 360, so I just ticket restarted that round. Then when I reached the portal again, Supersonic chose random, and we were back in Aqua Road. You need to understand how massive this is. If you didn't know, the 2 potential CrossWorlds are predetermined as soon as you load into the race. The random portal doesn't actually take you to a random stage, it just takes you to the other stage that the race has chosen for you. Meaning that if we get a stage that has a really good shortcut that the CPUs don't often use, like in Cyberspace, Kronos Island, or Crystal Mine, and still somehow fumble, we can just ticket restart that run and hope that Supersonic chooses the random portal. A technique that I'm going to refer to as Donpa tax fraud. We can bribe the Donpa to just give us the stages we need, and this will be huge. Anyway, with a miraculous 2nd place in both Rainbow Garden and Water Palace, we are exactly where we need to be. We have come first once, and then 2nd on the other 2 races. We just need to come first now, and we win, right? Well, easier said than done, that's for sure. Now, I'd made a lot of progress already. I wouldn't call this Donpa tax fraud, but I wasn't willing to go through all that again on a pretty solid run already, so I was honestly going to ticket restart until I got it, because every time, it was so close. It felt like the game just kept on edging me, but then stopping right before the big moment. I burned through a lot of tickets for this. Something was missing, I just couldn't put my finger on what, so we backed out and revisited the build one last time. Or, so I thought. We replaced Slipstream Bounty for Wisp Chance up, hoping that the likelihood of getting a boost Wisp up front would increase, as well as a laser or drill closer to the back. And speaking of shortcuts, we swapped to the Secret Grand Prix, because all of those stages have really good shortcuts multiple times across the track. While the first shot at Kronos was generally looking really good, I fumbled at the dumbest part. So yeah, we swapped back to what we were using before, after we tried Dash Panel Bounty for a while, which also didn't really prove itself well. Sure, we could get rings whenever we liked combined with the Charge Bounty, but it just wasn't all that. We also went back to Zavok, and got a pretty good shot at the first go of Kronos. We got Coral Town in the random portal, and since I failed the shortcut, that meant it was time for Donpa tax fraud once again, since this shortcut was too good to not do, and look at where we are thanks to it. Now we just need to get either an Omo Shout or a Yakker, and first place is ours. Oh right, a shuriken with no indicator appeared. Yay! You'd think the shortcut is free if you use a laser at the right time, but somehow we managed to get by without it, and then become neck and neck with Supersonic. This was looking 100% doable, and with an Omo Shout to hand, we took the shortcut and snagged first place off of Supersonic right at the last second. All thanks to Donpa tax fraud to get the Coral Town shortcut. But it wasn't just that. This was 100% the God build, a perfect balance between recovery and maintaining high ring counts. North Star Islands wasn't a perfect race, but it would suffice since we came second. I don't think Donpa Motors would be too happy with this outcome, given that we did Whitespace really well and then somehow ended up with Kronos Island as the CrossWorlds. I mean, I sure as shit wasn't going to complain. I had my Yakker locked and loaded, ready for that shortcut. But then, in a move that the DVLA would definitely class as illegal, Supersonic slipped right in front of me and put a spike ball right there, slowing me back down and nullifying literally every benefit that came along with that shortcut. Thankfully, despite a wait being disguised in a Dark Shadow portal, we still came second, right back into that perfect placement that we needed to be in for the final lap. Now, we decided to bag a little bit for the final race, ensuring that we got a Yakker right away, then staying behind to ensure a Laser Wisp too, resulting in a clean Kronos Island being right next to Supersonic again, and a pretty good North Star, but then that penultimate turn on Whitespace, that's where it all went wrong. I did try again, a clean Kronos and Northstar, yet on the exact same turn with yet another illegal move, Supersonic managed to perfectly snipe me with a bomb. And on pretty much every subsequent attempt, everything went wrong at this exact same spot. But with a couple of defensive items on hand, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. But remember, if you're ever in a fumbling competition and your opponent is me, you will lose. The absolute only way we could win this now is by making use of placement item manipulation. Defensive items were great and all, but shit, basically every run at this point was getting lost to a ghost, so we needed to have a shield for that moment, because it's the only thing stopping us from reaching the end. Well, that and my questionable driving, but that's something we can control. And in yet another illegal move, Supersonic managed to perfectly throw a magnet in front of me and stop me right as I overtook him. If any AI is going to take over the world one day, it's going to be the max level rival AI in this fuck-ass game. And then I got a shield, just what I needed. If only the game gave me it 30 seconds earlier. From now on, everything had to be perfect. The stars must align. The power of Gunnar mods is in our hands, and the most pristine RNG manipulation right at our fingertips. Speed items were a must during Kronos, and a mixture of speed and defensives would do fine in Northstar, and sure, I'm already airborne, but still get bounced up? Yeah, that makes logical sense, doesn't it? Either way, my point is proven more and more with each attempt, losing my first place to either King Boom Boo or any other direct attack when I have no defense item. With the right item set though, the end was in sight. If we could use our placement to manipulate a Yacker and a Laser Wisp in Kronos, letting us take both major shortcuts, a bonus if we can get a shield, which luckily we did, and use it to defend the inevitable King Boom Boo. Attack items were nice as we could throw it back to block small things like bombs, gloves, or stars. But if we could get a tornado, that's even better. We could front run like crazy if all the stars align, which we did. But once again, my questionable driving strikes again, and we're done for. Was this even possible to replicate? Well, yeah, but maybe I was doing it slightly wrong. You see, a laser can defend a lot, but a Yacker trio gets us more uses, which is probably a little more versatile. And Omochals were a good defense against King Boom Boo, since the constant rings allow you to speed right back up. But if you don't have the lead in the final lap, you may as well reset. Because sure, defending yourself is great, but it means nothing if you aren't directly at front. Yay, a shield right at the end again, well, not even in first, woo! Now it was time for the Giga Chat attempt. I remained in 12th place with a laser and managed to pick up a drill. Drills will move you so insanely fast that you can use it to skip over the fans on Northstar and overtake pretty much everyone who doesn't use a laser or anything. And this gave us a massive boost. Praying for some good defense items, which we didn't get, King Boom attacks, but thankfully it wasn't a horrible impact. But I didn't panic, and at least we had the tornado left to defend the weight, and then the impossible happened. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Oh. I was practically crying. I was genuinely sitting there believing I had actually just done the impossible. And despite my efforts to win possibly the toughest battle in all of Sonic, something still just didn't feel right. After the race, the DVLA visited my house the next morning and took out my kneecaps for so-called cheating in the race. It turns out, after all the bribing we did with the Dompa to get the stages we wanted, he still ratted us out. I checked their website, and sure enough, it did actually say that Dompa Tax Swap was an illegal move, and any attempts against Supersonic using it would then be void right away. Well, I spent ages losing to Supersonic because of my own skills. I think it was time to turn the tides in his direction. Gadget usage was considered to be completely free, so we grabbed the ultimate notorious build, being Tech Drift, level 2 and 3 Quick Charge, and Ultimate Charge. If Sonic could be invincible, so could I. And who better to take him down once and for all than Shadow the Hedgehog. Not only does Ultimate Charge make you invincible, but the speed gain from it is nuts, especially in Supersonic speed. And with all the item manipulation I had been doing already, I pretty much knew exactly what I would get every time I picked up a canister. If you were still last, you can preemptively take the shortcut in time for when you'll get a boost item from the pickup and shoot ahead of everybody else. However, not using the tornado in a period of long vulnerability was completely on me. Luckily, there's no need for a boost wisp on the first shortcut on the last lap. Just save your boost, use it at the end, and first place is yours. Now, Rainbow Garden was looking rough, but then something magical happened.
Did I just snap drift accidentally? Wait, did I just overtake drift? Guys,
Guys, look at the minimap, look at the minimap. If you remember my last video, Zaz fell at that turn on Digital Circuit, which is actually fairly common for level 10 rivals, as I've heard, since they turn so tightly, they can just rapidly fall at that one turn and end up in 12th at the end. A skill issue if I've ever seen one, that's for sure. Well, with a 12th place finish for Supersonic, I just had to not fumble. Let's do it. You just need a single Digital Circuit for that one. And yet I still nearly fumbled, but who cares, we did it, no ticket restarts, fully legal, case closed. This video took an incredibly long time to make, so any and all support is much appreciated. Leave a like if you enjoyed and drop a comment down below if you want, I love reading them. And subscribe for more videos like this. We're shooting for 3,000 subs before the end of the year, so here's hoping I don't fumble that and can actually release this video before 2026. Not gonna lie guys, I'm having a ton of fun with these CrossWorlds challenges, so you should expect some more. If you've got any ideas, drop them down below. I think next up we'll try beating max rivals on Race Park without gadgets, or without items, but any ideas you have, leave a comment. We play a ton of CrossWorlds and Rumble over on Twitch, so if you'd like to play, go ahead and follow me over there too, and one of the spots could be yours. I'll leave the links to my Twitch, Discord, and anything else down there that you should also follow me on. Big shout out to hweilla and Makon for the thumbnail, to Saitsu for restoring the Supersonic rival, and to all of you guys for watching until the end. Have a great holiday, my name is Snack, and I will see you in the next one.